In the last lesson, you typed in some data and created a little spreadsheet. We're also going to look at how to copy data into Excel from other sources. But first, let's talk about some data types. This is really important in Excel. I want you to look at the data that you enter. Do you notice anything different about the numbers and the text?
It aligns them differently in the cell.
Exactly. Excel is looking at what you type in and it's trying to guess what you're doing. So if you start with text, it's going to say, oh, I know that's text. And it's always going to left align that in a cell. And it treats it like text. But if you start with a number, it says, oh, I know where you're going with that. And it's a number. And it always right aligns the numbers.
Interesting.
We also will have formulas in our cells. So later on, we're going to talk about formulas and how Excel recognizes those. Sometimes we'll have dates in a cell, and so Excel is going to recognize the dates and treat those differently. So those are really the big three data types: numbers, text, and dates. And then, of course, formulas and functions will be different as well. So we just need to know that Excel is always trying to figure out which type of data is in the cell and treating it accordingly.
Okay.
Look up at the formula bar right now. As you typed in the data, you will see that the same word that's in the cell is also in the formula bar. And when you click on a number, you're going to see the same thing. Now, I just need you to know that that is not always going to be the case in Excel. Moving forward, sometimes you're going to see one thing in a cell and see something different in the formula bar. And we'll talk about why and when that happens. But you have to remember that in Excel, what you see is not what you get.
Okay.
Excel's kind of behind the scenes, looking at things one way, and then sometimes we'll see it a little bit differently in the cells. So we're going to use that formula bar pretty extensively to get an idea of what's really in the cell, what's behind the scenes.
Got it.
We have another file with a little bit of data, and we're going to copy and paste that data into it just to save you some typing. If you have it somewhere else, there's no reason to enter it again. So we're going to pull up a text file. You could click and drag to select it, but why don't we use a trick that we learned earlier where we want to select everything. And remember, I told you this is really a Windows shortcut to select everything you see, and that's going to be Control A for all. Excellent. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we could go to the Edit menu. There's always a menu or a ribbon option. You could also right-click if you want to copy. Why don't you go ahead and right-click on the data. Just put your cursor right on the data and right-click. And you'll see Cut, Copy, and Paste. Cutting is for moving. Of course, copy leaves it where it is and gives you a copy. And then the keyboard shortcut that especially for Excel, and again, this is pretty much a Windows shortcut, but you have to use this in Excel, and that's Control-C for copy. So those are really the big three that we often use for copying. So go ahead and copy this data, and then go back to Excel, and you're going to click in cell A4, and then we're going to paste. And again, you will see the big paste word on the ribbon. You can also right-click, and you will see paste, or on the keyboard. And again, you definitely need to know how to use this in Excel. It's going to be Control-V as in Victor.
Okay. Oh, there we go. It's all right there. It also put all of the products in each separate row.
Exactly. It's smart enough to figure out that you wanted to split those out into the rows, so it's going to paste those right in. Just a couple of other things you might want to do with your data. If you had put that in the wrong place maybe, or wanted to undo it, of course you can always use the undo key, one of our favorites in Microsoft. So there's really two ways to do that. If you look up at the Quick Access Toolbar, and we've mentioned this before, it was just grayed out, you have undo, and you can see it there. But you'll also notice that the shortcut key is Control-Z. That's going to be one of your friends in Excel. So that's one you want to remember as well. If, for example, you didn't want that last entry, you can easily delete that or clear the cell. So let's click on the VRHMD. Just click in that one cell. And there's a couple ways to clear the data. Far and away the easiest one is just the delete key on the keyboard. So go ahead and hit delete. Good. And of course it's gone. So you don't have to select it first. And I have to tell you, here's a mistake a lot of people make. Some people use the backspace key or, horror of horrors, the space key to delete. So we never want to use either one of those to delete cells because that will cause a lot of trouble in Excel. Those are invisible spaces, but they're there, and so it can cause a lot of trouble. So why don't you undo the deletion to put it back.
Okay, I'm just going to go over here and click the undo clear.
Good. Now, you'll notice that the redo option is now active because you undid. So redo is usually associated with undo. And so that's if you can't make up your mind. I don't know, do I want it, do I not want it? So then you can undo and redo until you decide whether you want it or not. Another way to get rid of it is the clear button. So we're going to come down here to the editing group on the home tab and click on clear. And the equivalent of the delete button is clear contents. So you would go down to clear contents, and there's a number of other things that you can clear as well, and we don't have any of them right now. We don't have any formatting or anything else, and we'll talk about those as we come to it. But this is the same as hitting the delete key on the keyboard, the clear contents.
Okay.
You can just hit escape to get rid of that menu.
I really like how I can copy and paste things in Excel, and it saves me a lot of time.